Gabriel's rebellion and how it affected the age of abolition. To start off, who was Gabriel and why was he important in this rebellion? What was the rebellion about? Very little is known about Gabriel, though. He was born into slavery around 1775 and was the chattel of Thomas H. Prosser of Henrico County, Virginia. Gabriel was also a blacksmith. With his blacksmith skills, he was allowed a certain level of autonomy, which was uncommon for enslaved people. He was intelligent, charismatic, and determined to fight for freedom, which led to him being the leader of an unsuccessful slave revolt in Richmond, Virginia in 1800, now known as Gabriel's Rebellion. His two brothers, Solomon and Martin, and his wife, Nanny, all participated in the rebellion. Gabriel's Rebellion was a slave uprising that was intended to challenge the institution of slavery in Virginia. This was caused due to the years of the harsh slave treatment and also the exploitation that occurred. With this, the plan was to try to overtake the capital and to try to make James Monroe support the political, social, and the economic equality. With this, Gabriel's Rebellion recruited area slaves, white artisans, freemen, religious supporters, and French sympathizers as his crew. Now that we have an idea of who Gabriel was and what the rebellion was about, what was the motive and causes behind the rebellion itself? The motive behind the overall rebellion was the prevailing themes of liberty, such as from the global events, influenced by American, French, and Haitian revolutions. Also, with the idea of liberty, it was thought that if he were to have a rebellion, then it would lead to Gabriel pushing his vision for equality. Thus, Gabriel hoped to unite poor whites and enslaved peoples to overthrow wealthy people and create an equal society. This rebellion was one of many during the Age of Abolition, but with Gabriel's rebellion, what was its role in the Age of Abolition? Gabriel's role in the Age of Abolition was one, symbol of resistance. The rebellion, which failed but showed the enslaved people's longing for freedom, was a powerful act of resistance against slavery in the early 19th century. 2. Inspiration for abolitionists. Gabriel's daring endeavor to abolish slavery as a whole motivated abolitionists to keep fighting the system, and his deeds demonstrated that slaves were prepared to adopt extreme measures. 3. The impact on slavery debate. Slave owners became terrified of more rebellions and started enforcing stringent rules to govern enslaved people after the rebellion heated up discussions about slavery in the United States. 4. Shift in abolitionist strategies. Even though many abolitionists advocated peaceful methods, Gabriel's rebellion forced the abolitionist movement to contemplate the potential of violent resistance as a means of ending slavery. Gabriel's acts demonstrated the desperation of enslaved people to escape slavery. 5. Milestone in African American resistance. One of the first known instances of African American rebellion to slavery is Gabriel's Rebellion. It preceded subsequent uprisings that demonstrated African Americans' unwillingness to submit to slavery without resistance. Lastly, challenged the ideals of founding United States. Gabriel's Rebellion revealed the hypocrisy of the American fundamental principles of equality and liberty. Even though the planned rebellion was meant to strive for a fair society free of slavery, the slave rebellion had unintended repercussions that caused it to end in recession and ultimately failed to further the rebellion's goals. Due to 2 slaves betraying the organization and spreading the word of the rebellion, as well as a rainfall that passed by on the day of the rebellion was put down before it could start. In addition to harsher slave regulations that limited slave mobility and outlawed activities like hiring, assembling, and educating enslaved persons, this resulted in the execution of Gabriel and 27 other slaves. Since the rebellion made slaveholders fearful and more eager to maintain control over the slaves, harsher regulations were put in place to regulate the enslaved people. Even though the rebellion didn't succeed, it became a significant symbol of resistance and influenced other uprisings, such Nat Turner's. Gabriel's rebellion was an attempted slave revolt led by Gabriel Prosser, an enslaved blacksmith in Richmond, Virginia, in 1800. Gabriel, inspired by the ideals of freedom from the American and Haitian revolutions, organized an extensive network of enslaved people and free black collaborators to rise up against slavery. The plan aimed to capture Richmond, take the governor hostage, and demand emancipation for Virginia's enslaved population. The uprisings was thwarted before it could begin due to bad weather, which delayed the attack, and informants who alerted authorities. This led to the capture and execution of Gabriel and many of his followers. Although unsuccessful, Gabriel's rebellion highlighted growing resistance to slavery in the United States and influenced future abolitionist movements by showing that enslaved people were willing to risk their lives for freedom.